Cowboy football hits the road for the first time since its Bedlam victory. Basketball is back in action in Stillwater.
And wrestling at OSU is bringing a family together. All that and more coming up on the Poke Report.
Welcome to a very special edition of the Poke Report from Orlando, Florida. I'm Toni Wetmore.
And I'm Griff McClellan.
And Griff, how great is it to be here in the Sunshine State for this matchup?
It's incredible. I mean, look around. Look at all this sunshine and the palm trees. There's no better place to be.
Oh no, and I think we have to get a palm tree back to Stillwater.
I'm not sure how that's possible, but maybe we could work something out. But most importantly, this is not a vacation for the OSU Cowboys. We are here in front of UCF Stadium where they have a big game this weekend.
Absolutely. It's a potential trap game for the Cowboys, but before we get into that game, we have to talk about last week's Bedlam matchup. Jonna Orange has the story from the field.
The Oklahoma State Cowboys says SEC you later to the Sooners in its last conference matchup. In the last Bedlam for the foreseeable future, the Cowboys have bragging rights after Saturday's win of 27-24. Coming off its loss against Kansas, Oklahoma continues its farewell tour in Stillwater. Ollie Gordon set the tone for the game on the opening drive, weaving his way through traffic for an early 7-0 lead. With the crowd chanting his name, this isn't the only time you'll be hearing about Gordon. The Cowboys led 17-14 going into halftime. After halftime, Sooners' Tyree Walker breaks free for a 23-yard touchdown run on his first carry of the game to put the Sooners up 21-17. Cowboy fans held their breath when Gordon floated a ball short in a special play to Rashad Owens, resulting in an interception from Oklahoma's Billy Bowman, who ran it back 39 yards into OU territory. Gordon makes up for the mistake later with a 1-yard power play to put the Cowboys up 24-21 with nearly 8 minutes remaining. OU quarterback Dylan Gabriel, with a minute on the clock, completes the fourth down pass to Drake Stoops at the OU 49, but is pushed short of the first down by OSU freshman Dylan Smith. After knowing the game was secured, OSU fans immediately pour onto the field one last time to celebrate the win with the Cowboys, even taking a piece of the game with them. Coach Mike Gundy makes an honorable mention to the fans.
And our crowd is more engaged with our team than any of the years I've been here.
The Cowboys themselves fed off the electric atmosphere, with Gordon, the sophomore running back, drawing fuel from the crowd.
I would say, the student section, our fans just stand behind us the whole time. Not once did I hear them go quiet. The whole game they were loud, so that played a big part.
The Cowboys visit UCF tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. For the Poke Report, I'm Jonna Orange.
Thanks, Jonna. That Bedlam victory was a great performance from the whole team, especially Ollie Gordon.
Without a doubt. And as we know, OSU's offense revolves around Ollie Gordon. They rely heavily on the run game. But we can't forget, OSU's wide receivers have stepped up and made some big key plays. Redshirt junior wideout Rashad Owens had a career day Saturday with 10 catches for 136 yards, including a big-time 31-yard reception against the Sooners. In the first 3 games, the OSU receivers secured only 3 receiving touchdowns, with Brennan Presley responsible for 2 of them. Since then, the group has been efficient. In the last 6 games, the wide receivers have accounted for 8 touchdowns. Due to numerous injuries in the receiver room, senior Leon Johnson has stepped up big time for the offense. Johnson says the lack of rotation has forced the 3 receivers to make plays for the offense.
Now there's no rotations. It's only me, Shad, and Presley playing. And so it's when the receiver's catching the ball, it's really one of the only 3 of us, instead of, we're rotating Talons in, J-Bray's in, Stribs in. And so I don't want to say we're progressing more or getting more comfortable. It's just the fact that there's no rotations and we're the only 3 that are really doing, really able to play at the moment.
Even with the great play of the wide receivers, the fan favorite is still undoubtedly Ollie Gordon II.
Oh, absolutely. Those Ollie chants were very loud in Boone Pickens Stadium on Saturday. Gordon has been going on a great run so far this season. Nathan Shell has more on his breakout year.
Ollie Gordon has gone from a running back who split carries to the player who leads the FBS in rushing yards. The sophomore has the student section chanting his name after every home game. He's rushed for over 120 yards in all 6 conference games and has scored at least 1 touchdown in his last 5. Ollie had his biggest performance on the road against West Virginia. In a game where the Pokes were trailing at the half, Gordon exploded for 282 yards and 4 touchdowns to defeat the Mountaineers. He followed this showing up with another great game against Cincinnati. He ran for 271 yards and 2 touchdowns in a blowout win to make the Pokes bowl eligible for the 18th straight year. After these 2 attention-grabbing stat lines, Gordon continued to emphasize remaining focused moving forward.
When Sunday hits, last week's game's over, so tomorrow this game will be over. Nobody's going to care what happened last week, so we got to prepare for the week coming up.
Then came Bedlam. Gordon had the opportunity to excel against in-state rival Oklahoma in the most viewed game of the year for the Cowboys. Despite being bottled up for portions of the game, he broke loose for 2 touchdowns and a Bedlam win. He even struck a Heisman pose.
You have to let them know, since they got a Heisman candidate on their team, we got one here too, and it was just for fun,
Gordon is now listed at 7th place in the USA Today's weekly Heisman odds with 3 conference games remaining. Coach Gundy has emphasized remaining humble and hungry for Gordon.
It's unnatural for a human to be able to accept that much and then say, I'm going to go work tirelessly all week and get ready. He's done that.
The Cowboys control their own destiny in the Big 12 championship race, and Ollie will look to propel the Pokes to Arlington. For the Poke Report, I'm Nathan Schell.
Thanks, Nathan. We'll see if Gordon can continue to be the Cowboys' knight in shining armor against UCF. And as great of a player as he is on the field, Gordon has a great personality off of it as well. Did you see that video of him doing the baby shark dance at the women's basketball game?
I was actually there live to see it in person. And you're right, he's made a huge effort to get involved with the community in Stillwater off the field. Such a great guy. He's really making an effort to support a bunch of OSU teams. Meanwhile, on the field, for the 4th consecutive week, Ollie Gordon II has been named the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week. He is the 2nd player in Big 12 history to get the honor in 4 straight weeks. But Gordon was not the only Cowboy to get Big 12 honors this week. Senior linebacker Xavier Benson was named the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week for the first time in his career. The Cowboys have been given 7 Player of the Week awards this season.
Now, we know you're here for football, and there's lots more to come with that. But we're here to cover all things OSU sports, not just football.
Coming up next on the Poke Report, will GIA be rocking again this year? For 2 of the 3 winter teams, it seems like it will be.
We have reporters covering the open night of basketball, and they'll have your answers. Plus, we also take a look at the family dynamics in cowboy wrestling. All this and more when we come back.
Welcome back to the Poke Report. Glad you're with us. College hoops are back in Gallagher-Iba Arena. Emma Lightfoot was at the men's home opener. She has these insights.
The Oklahoma State Cowboys kicked off the basketball regular season this week, but the outcome did not go in their favor. In a 64-59 loss to the Abilene Christian Wildcats, the Cowboys suffered their first home opener loss in 48 years. The loss revealed a lot of things about the team, but not many of them were good. With the non-conference loss, Coach Mike Boynton recognized that the youth of the team is not an excuse for their performance and took responsibility to fix those issues moving forward.
We can't make the excuse that we're young because that's not changing tomorrow. Those guys have to be ready to help us. That's why we're pushing them like we are in practice. We knew that coming in, and so we're not going to sit up here and let it be an excuse for us not playing better. We got to play better. It's really that simple.
Despite Abilene playing well, there are things that the Oklahoma State Cowboys have to improve on to be a better team this season. Looking toward the future, though, there is a bright spot. The Cowboys are a very young team. 6 players are freshmen and come in with a lot of talent. They might lack experience, but that's something that develops over time. Against the Wildcats, Eric Daly Jr., Connor Dow, Justin McBride, and Brandon Garrison made their debuts for the Cowboys. Collectively, the 4 combined for 18 points and 5 steals. Dow made 3 three-pointers, the first Cowboy to do so in a debut since Keelan Boone on November 6, 2019. Obviously, the Cowboys are not lacking talent. What's lacking is experience. This will likely improve as the season goes on, but it will be a night and day difference within the next year or two. Next up, though, Oklahoma State hosts the Sam Houston State Bearcats in a non-conference matchup. Tip-off is at 2 p.m. at Gallagher-Iba Arena.
Thanks, Emma. The Cowboys sure need a rebound after that loss.
That they do, but they will have the chance at a fresh start against Sam Houston on Sunday. The Cowboys weren't the only team to take the court on Monday, though. Coach JC and the Cowgirls were back in action for their season opener as well. The Cowgirls dominated the Southern Illinois Edwardsville 100-59. Onagar Asi led the charge for the Cowgirls with 20 points. It's great to see the Cowgirls performing so well so early in this opener.
Now, Toni, scoring 100 points in a game is never an easy task.
Oh, absolutely. It's very impressive.
And the Cowgirls were also in action on Wednesday for the team's annual kids game. Elementary school children are invited from across the state to come watch Cowgirl basketball play. The Cowgirls beat New Orleans 74-66. OSU's next game is Sunday at Colorado.
And Griff, it's great to see the Cowgirls having success in Coach Hoyt's second season with the team.
Indeed it is.
And I had a chance to catch up with the newest group of Coach Hoyt's supporters. When you think of the rowdiest women's basketball teams in the country, schools like LSU and UConn come to mind. Oklahoma State head coach J.C. Hoyt hopes to add the Cowgirls to this list as well. Hoyt hosted the first ever Hoyt's Hustlers event on Sunday to help students meet and learn more about the women's players at OSU. Students were provided with pizza while watching the Cowgirls practice, and a t-shirt given exclusively to Hoyt's Hustlers. Coach Hoyt understands the importance of connecting with fans off the court.
I think it's really important that we just find different ways outside of game settings to engage with our fans and especially with our students. I've seen the passion that our fans have, and I want them to know how much I appreciate that. And so these kind of face-to-face, one-on-one interactions are really important.
There will be a table in the lobby on game days in GIA for Hoyt's Hustlers to sign in and earn points for prizes as they bring the rowdy for the Cowgirls. For the Poke Report, I'm Toni Wetmore. Now, Griff, do you think you have what it takes to be a Hoyt's Hustler?
I'm not sure. Sign me up. But of course, at OSU, basketball is not the only sport being played at Gallagher-Iba Arena. As we know, wrestling takes the mat tonight for its first duel against Bucknell. With the Cowboys looking to get back to their standard, one family is reconnecting the Cowboys to their roots. Ryan Schroeder suplexes us into the story.
Cowboy wrestling has always been about family, starting with Leroy Smith's lineage of John and Pat Smith, as well as current assistant coach Chris Perry, who was a grandchild of Leroy as well. And the success of Cowboy wrestling family falls heavily on keeping the next wrestlers who grow up in the family as Cowboys. Daniel Manabog, a redshirt senior from Katy, Texas, has been with the Cowboy family since he graduated high school in 2018. Part of the reason he made the decision to come to Oklahoma State was because of the family-type environment. Daniel says when he realized just how family-oriented the Cowboy wrestling program was, especially when including his younger brother, Jeremy Manabog.
Yeah, actually it was funny. My freshman year, he came up and visited me during Thanksgiving break, and Coach Smith actually told him, hey, get your shoes on tomorrow morning, and we're going to have a workout with you. And it was actually him and his son, Sam Smith, who's also a freshman this year. So it was just, I think it was awesome right away. Like, you could see that Coach Smith and all the coaches here are just really family-oriented. And I was a freshman. I'd only been here for the summer and a couple months, and he's already having my brother train with his son.
Daniel was always a mentor to Jeremy in high school, and Jeremy obviously looked up to Daniel because of how successful he was at Katy High School, with Daniel's name all over the walls of their wrestling room as a three-time state champion. Jeremy's sophomore season was cut short due to COVID, and then he finished as the runner-up at state his junior year. Going into his senior year, he looked for advice from Daniel about how to get through these times in life. Jeremy says what advice really stuck with him from that summer going into his senior season at Katy.
Yeah, he's always believed in me. You know, he told me after I lost, he said, hey, like you know you could beat that guy, and like you got this. Like, you're gonna get this done. Just keep working hard.
Daniel and Jeremy have both put in the work to be able to be a part of the Cowboy wrestling family at Oklahoma State. And since they are both in the 157 weight class, there will surely be many hours in the wrestling room where Daniel helps Jeremy get acclimated to the college wrestling environment.
They call it 1s, 2s, and 3s. Usually the 1s are the starters. So in a common drill done in practice is a king of the court type situation like basketball, where the winners stay on and the losers move off. I have a feeling the two redshirt seniors in Jalen Harper and Daniel Manabog will show the mini-bog what it's like to compete around here.
Although Mr. and Mrs. Manabog are empty nesters, the lineage of the Cowboy wrestling family has many routes to continue through the next generation of wrestlers. For the Poke Report, I'm Ryan Schroeder.
Thanks, Ryan. I can't wait to see how both the Manabog brothers do this season.
Before we go into a break, we're going to wrap up wrestling with a former Cowboy turned coach whose dedication has made a positive impact on the team. Our own Max Moody has the story.
A sellout Gaggle Iba Arena is in attendance to witness the number 2 ranked Cowboys face the number 3 ranked Iowa Hawkeyes to cap off an undefeated season under head coach John Smith. The tension is building when Chandler Rogers pins his opponent on his own senior day for his 12th pin of the season. The Cowboys go on to win the match in a decisive manner, 27-12 over the Hawkeyes. Originally from the state of Washington, Chandler knew that Oklahoma State was the place for him to succeed in his career.
I know this is a place where it breeds winners. Like it produces titles, it produces All-Americans, and those were goals that I had.
Rogers would redshirt his first year for the Orange and Black and went on to 3 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances.
God, he was explosive. He was exciting to watch. He was, you know, I think every time he stepped on the gallery floor, I mean, everybody looked forward to this match because it wasn't going to be something simple. It was going to be something that was wild, and it would likely pick up a pin, you know.
Chandler has success on the mat, and now he makes it his goal for the next generation to have success in their own ways, if that's in the classroom, in practice, or in life.
After moving back to Stillwater, Chandler has made it a priority to be a positive influence for the student athletes. He is a strong proponent on mental health and giving athletes a voice.
I knew that when I was in college, that was something that I had struggled with and heard conversations of my teammates struggling with. And if I can come back and like that's what kind of brought me back to OSU was if I can, well, first of all, go to school and get my master's and get my doctorate and do those things. But at the same time, like build those relationships and have those conversations with guys that like, hey, you're not alone in this like struggle. I think like mental health and all that stuff is a big thing that is missed in college athletics.
Chandler is very active with the wrestling team and considers himself a friend to many of the current student athletes.
Great kid, great role model, and made a lot of difference for a lot of our student athletes still today. Very involved in his faith and getting people involved in their faith. It's probably his, you know, one of his greatest accomplishments is how many people he's made a difference with. Yeah.
For the Poke Report, I'm Max Moody.
Thanks, Max. We're going to take one last break, but when we return, we will take an inside look at the backbone of support for OSU athletics, and we'll be following the East End Zone goalpost on its escapade through Stillwater after Bedlam.
Plus, what's it going to take for the Cowboys to continue the winning streak this weekend? You don't want to miss it.
Welcome back to the Poke Report. Before we get into some more football, let's look at the commits that other OSU teams were able to secure on National Signing Day. OSU Wrestling signed Japan Junior World Team member Rin Sakamoto. OSU Softball signed Tara Vanwater, a top 50 national player for the class of 2024, and OSU Baseball signed Sir Jamison Jones, a top 20 catcher in the 2024 class. We are so excited to have these players joining the Cowboy family. And you know, Griff, these were only a few of the amazing commits that OSU was able to land on signing day.
It looks like many of these athletes have such bright futures ahead of them, and many of them are already paving the way for the future of athletics in Stillwater. And earlier today, Stillwater hosted the NCAA Cross Country Midwest Regionals. Here are the results for the men's. Oklahoma State finished first with 19 points, Iowa State came in second with 56, and Loyola finished third with 131 points. For the women's, the Oklahoma State Cowgirls finished first with 30 points, Iowa State behind them with 75, and third was Northwestern with 155 points. Congratulations to both the Cowboys and Cowgirls. We're all so proud of you.
Absolutely. The only thing better than one OSU win is 2 OSU wins in one day.
And that wasn't the only piece of hardware OSU collected recently. Madison Hinson Tolsherd finishes in the top 10 in the World Amateur Golf Championships. After a par 72 in round 1, she skyrocketed to the top 10 on Thursday. Hinson also scored the second lowest round 2 score with a 6 under 66, surging Team Australia to a two-way tie for first. Congrats to Hinson Tolshard on a spectacular tournament. Now, Toni, isn't it so great to see Cowgirl Golf succeed at an international level?
Oh, absolutely. And another Cowgirl team that is succeeding right now is Cowgirl Tennis. They just wrapped up their fall season at the ITA Fall Nationals. Cooper Carr serves us that story.
With the fall season coming to a close, the Michael and Ann Greenwood Tennis Center won't host any competitive matches until the spring season begins in January. Over the course of the fall season, the Cowgirls didn't always get the results they wanted, but they have growth and wins to show their improvement throughout the season. Lucia Pear feels she got better and better over the months.
Well, I think maybe at the beginning of the season, I started playing a lot of tournaments, but I didn't have the results that I wanted.
Anastasia Komar echoes Pear's thoughts and has top place finishes to prove it.
I think for me the beginning of the season was pretty tough, but then more I played and better it became, I think. So
OSU's Cowgirl tennis squad ended the season last weekend by taking second in the ITA Fall National Championship doubles tournament. Though they would have liked to end on an even higher note, the team has plenty to be proud of from the fall season. In addition to the national runner-up finish, the Cowgirls won a regional title and several professional titles. The season started with 2 tournaments in California. OSU's Luisa Pear won the doubles title at the Battle of the Bay in San Francisco. Pear teamed up with Pepperdine player Savannah Broadus to defeat a Stanford duo with a score of 8-5. And in the USTA Intercollegiate Championships, 2 OSU duos met in the doubles final. Anastasia Komar playing with Raquel Gonzalez, and Sophia Carrington teaming up with Christina Novak. Although the fall season is over and head coach Chris Young isn't permitted to schedule practices or workouts over the break, the Cowgirls aren't taking too much time off. The courts at the Michael and Ann Greenwood Tennis Center won't host any tournaments, but they won't be empty either. The players will continue to work on their games between the seasons. Lucia Pear and Anastasia Komar agree that they don't want to lose a step.
we're obviously going to practice between seasons.
So yeah, we are playing tournaments. We always have to be playing and moving and doing something. We just can't be like...
With over 2 months until their next tournament, it's no surprise the players will be finding other ways to stay active and keep their skills sharp. The winter and spring season will begin on January 12th at the Freeman Memorial Invitational in Las Vegas. For the Poke Report, I'm Cooper Carr.
Thanks, Cooper. I can't wait to see how the Cowgirls do when the spring season rolls around. And Griff, I especially can't wait to be back in the Michael and Ann Greenwood Tennis Center.
I couldn't agree more, Toni. And our tennis program does not always get the respect and support it deserves. But hopefully, after its recent fall success, more fans will cheer them on come spring.
Absolutely.
And speaking of cheering, one OSU program that knows how to support other teams is the OSU Spirit Squad. Dylan Walker has more details on this high-flying program.
Oklahoma State is home to some of the finest athletic programs in the country. Although you may be more familiar with the football, basketball, or softball teams, OSU takes pride in every part of its athletic realm, including the Spirit Squad, which is made up of both cheer and pom. Pom can be described as a mix of dance and cheer. They perform at all football games and both men and women's home basketball games. Kaylee Light, a 4-year member on the Pom Squad, dreamt of following in the footsteps of her mom and older sisters and made it her goal to be on the Pom Squad ever since she was a little girl.
I wanted to try out for Pom because, for one, I've always been an OSU fan since I was little, and my mom was also in the Pom Squad, and then growing up I got to watch my 2 sisters also were on the Pom Squad. And so just watching them on the field and just doing everything that they got to do, I really looked up to them and just always hoped that I would get that experience one day, and I did.
Like Kaylee, many people look up to the Spirit Squad members from a young age. However, for some, they don't find their fascination until later in life. Parker Darnell, a senior on the co-ed cheer squad, didn't anticipate this is where his athletic career would take him coming into college.
I was like, I'll try out and go for it. So I definitely didn't expect to do it. I'm in a fraternity here as well, and so I kind of just expected to rush and just hang out, but it's been, I feel like it's enhanced my college experience so much.
Without the Spirit Squad cheering on both teams and fans, OSU school spirit would certainly not be what it is today. For the Poke Report, I'm Dylan Walker.
Thanks, Dylan. It's nice to be able to recognize and uplift the programs that always cheer on OSU.
They really do. They always help with the atmosphere of the games. And speaking of atmospheres, last week's Bedlam game was unmatched. Carter White takes us onto the field for the post-game celebration.
Oklahoma State has come out on top. That's it. Bowman takes a knee. The final Bedlam's in the books. It goes to the Cowboys.
Bedlam is defined as a scene of uproar and confusion, and the celebrations after Saturday's game live up to that definition. After Cowboys quarterback Alan Bowman took the final knee to seal the 27-24 victory over the Sooners in the final Bedlam, over 50,000 fans stormed the field, turning the Sea of Orange into a raging tsunami on the turf of Boone Pickens Stadium. Jesse Brewster, an OSU athletics intern, was on the field as it all went down, and he says that despite warnings put onto the video boards to stay off the fields, he didn't expect that rule to be followed at all.
No, I don't think anyone in the stadium expected that to happen. I think as great of an opponent as OU was and as significant as this game was, I think people were going to rush the field no matter what if we won.
The madness didn't end there. After the fans got onto the field, a collective effort was made to tear down one of the goalposts. The first attempt at the west end zone was unsuccessful, but with enough teamwork, the east end zone goalpost came tumbling down. The fans proceeded to take the goalpost on a journey across campus to a place students are all too familiar with. The final destination for the goalpost, right back here in Theta Pond, where it was dumped in. This was a unique experience for Cowboy fans, and there's no telling when it'll happen again. Head coach Mike Gundy says the next time the Cowboys and Sooners will be playing each other will be in a future bowl season.
During the regular season, it won't happen. I'm just giving you my opinion. We'll end up playing Oklahoma in bowl games. So the SEC and the Big 12 have ties in bowl games.
Maybe a new rivalry will rise with a different Big 12 school to replace Bedlam. But one thing's for sure. It will be hard for it to live up to the magnitude of the former OU rivalry. For the Poke Report, I'm Carter White.
Thanks, Carter. That Bedlam win is something that will stick with OSU fans forever.
Yeah, Tony, it really was the memory of a lifetime, and kudos to you. You called the exact final score, 27-24, an all-time classic. That being said, there's still a lot to be played for in the Big 12, with 3 weeks remaining before postseason play. That being said, joining us now is our Big 12 expert, Chase Horsley. What can you tell us, Chase?
Hey guys, so as the Big 12 is heating up and we've got the top 4 teams that are fighting for a Big 12 championship. At first right now, number 7 in the college football playoffs is Texas, 8-1, 5-1 in conference. Falling behind that, you already know, it's the Oklahoma State Cowboys after a huge Bedlam win and has moved them to 2 and top 15 in the country in the college football playoff. Then following behind them is Kansas, who defeated the Sooners, which is why number 4 is Oklahoma. And those are your top 4 teams that have the biggest chance of making the Big 12 championship this year. But since we're here at the University of Central Florida, I wanted to bring in UCF's football beat reporter, Isaiah Delgado.
Hey, man, I'm happy to be here right before you guys take your first loss in the top 15.
Oh, okay. Well, Isaiah, since you're so confident, tell us some of the keys to the game for UCF to try to beat Oklahoma State this weekend.
I think the key for UCF is really going to come down to sophomore wide receiver and converted running back Xavier Townsend. He's been out the past couple of weeks. A lot of you guys probably don't know a lot about him, but he's kind of the security blanket for John Rice Plumlee in the pass game. In order for our pass game to get going, he needs those short, intermediate dump-offs. We've got deep play receivers like Javon Baker and Kobe Hudson. Obviously, they're explosive, going to make it to the league. But in order for offense to really get clicking, we're going to need Xavier Townsend on the field.
You know, you bring up great points on that, and especially with Plumlee. The secondary for Oklahoma State looked so much better against Bedlam last week, but we all know that that is one of the biggest factors for Oklahoma State. But hey, the run game and Ollie Gordon, I mean, back to back to back to back. Big 12 Player of the Week, Ollie Gordon. I mean, run the football, do what you got to do. But UCF is a pretty good run defensive team, so it's going to be a fun matchup. I'm excited to see what Leon Johnson's going to do. And Alan Bowman, Ollie Gordon. Let's rock the bounce house.
All right, and all that being said, it's time for our favorite segment of the week. Again, thank you for joining us, Isaiah. Let's start on the road in Norman, Oklahoma, of all places, with West Virginia coming to town. Who is your pick in this game?
I'm going to have to roll with West Virginia pulling off the upset. Oklahoma, we had a little bit of a hangover after we almost beat them. You guys will have a Oklahoma hangover this week going up against us. So, yeah, I think Oklahoma's going to have a hangover coming off of their loss. So I'm riding with West Virginia.
I'm going to disagree. I think OU rebounds at home. I just can't see them losing 3 in a row.
I agree with Griff. I have the Sooners on this one.
I'm so far dead last in the standings, and I'm going to pick this upset. I'm going with Isaiah, going West Virginia. The biggest reason is we all saw how the season tanked last year for the Sooners, and it's kind of feel like the exact same, kind of like a mirror effect. So I've got West Virginia and Garrett Green taking down the Sooners this weekend.
Next, we head up to Lawrence, Kansas, where the visiting Texas Tech Red Raiders come to town. Who's your pick here?
Texas Tech is taking the L. I don't even think it's a question this week. I don't know how you guys are feeling about it, but yeah, Kansas is looking good.
I agree. Kansas is looking like one of the best teams in the Big 12. Very much still alive for the Big 12 championship. I like Kansas at home.
3-game win streak. They're about to make it 4. Give me the Jayhawks.
How cool would it be if Kansas makes a Big 12 championship this year? I mean, it would be absolutely awesome, especially without Jalen Daniels. Give me KU and Jason Bean.
All right, next we head down to Fort Worth, Texas, where Texas meets TCU. Who are you taking in this all-Texas matchup?
I'm going Texas. Call me a homer, but Texas wins in Texas. That's what's happening. I don't care about TCU. They're pulling it off.
Texas might miss Quinn Ewers, but I still think they get the job done on the road. TCU's just underperformed this season.
I think so as well.
I'm going to take TCU on this one. Home field advantage, and they've been fighting for that win, and Texas is the team that they're going to beat this season.
Personally, for me, I've got to go TCU with Toni as well, too. Texas, yes, Malik Murphy, they've been playing well, but also the fact that I've also heard some reports, Quinn Ewers may actually be back this weekend. We'll find out. And if he's back, that could open up the offense, but I actually think it's going to hurt Texas, and TCU is going to jump all over it.
Next, we head out west to Utah, where the visiting Iowa State Cyclones take on BYU.
I'm going to go with the Cyclones. I think it's a pretty safe pick there. I don't really believe in BYU too much. I don't know about you guys.
I agree with you, Isaiah. I think Iowa State's the better team. I think they barely get the job done on the road.
Going to take the Cyclones as well after that game against the Mountaineers. I just don't see the Cougars being able to recover.
Guys, after Brock Purdy left Iowa State, I didn't know if ever again Iowa State would be even close to getting back to a Big 12 championship. But Rocco Beck, absolutely a stud. Give me the Cyclones.
All right, the time has come for the biggest game of the week with the visiting Cowboys taking on the Knights. Who are you picking in this one?
I like the Knights to pull it off. I mean, we've got a strong running game in R.J. Harvey. Obviously, you guys have your fancy little running back too, but we're coming off of 4 straight 100-yard rushing games from R.J. Harvey. He's underrated hometown kid. We are undefeated in the space game. So we'll be in our fancy blue uniforms, and you guys are going to be crying blue tears down your faces as you head back home with a loss.
I respectfully disagree, Isaiah. I got to go with the Oklahoma State Cowboys on the road. Ollie Gordon's been playing lights out. Now 6 consecutive games with over 100 rushing yards. I'm sorry, but I think OSU gets the job done. Although it should be a close match. I think it'll be thrilling, but OSU gets it done on the road and extends their winning streak.
What are your scores for this game?
I'm going to say 30-28 OSU. How about you?
31-27 UCF.
Okay, I'm going with the Cowboys, and my score prediction is 34-28. I think that it'll be a high-scoring game, but also it'll be a close one.
So you may be thinking, okay, well, space game, we're undefeated. No, sorry, sir. Not happening. So much on the line for the Cowboys. You're going to be sweating orange tears here in the University of Central Florida. They're at the bounce house, and the only thing bouncing are going to be the Cowboys all over UCF this week. 35-14, give me the Cowboys.
You guys are going to melt in the Florida sun, buddy. Just watch.
It sounds to me like a potential rivalry could brew just today. It could be crazy, and for all we know, this could be a huge rivalry going forward with realignment coming in the Big 12.
You know, being this the first time Oklahoma State has ever played UCF, I would not be shocked if we end up seeing this Big 12 rivalry every year. Granted, not every year, but like when we come out to the bounce house or when UCF comes to Stillwater, it's going to be a clash.
You guys are going to need a win for it to be a rivalry. That's all I'm saying. It's not a rivalry when we start off 1-0, buddy. So just stay tuned.
Okay.
I guess we'll have to see what happens this weekend. And thank you, Isaiah, for joining us. As always, we thank you for joining the Poke Report. I'm Toni Wetmore.
And I'm Griff McClellan.
And we'll see you next week.
Stay tuned and go Pokes.